it's time. It is time for Vish to tell us what he thinks of what he saw from Trey Lance during the game in the All-22 and your feelings on this Lance experiment moving forward. Let's start from what you saw.
So Kyle Shanahan was right when he said by no means was it perfect. It started off ugly,
No, I was in the
frankly.
press box, man. There were
Yeah.
open guys all over the field, and he was like,
It started off a little bit ugly where, he was feeling there was a play where he felt phantom pressure in the pocket where he just steps up and got to rip the ball. And he did this feint when Carlos Dunlap got pancaked by Trent Williams and then ran outside of the pocket, didn't know where he was going. The throw to Kittle was ugly. There's no other way to say it. NFL quarterbacks aren't supposed to miss throws like that. That was a really bad miss. But
he looked like he
then
threw that ball with his foot.
I don't know what he did, but
Like
that
he
was
didn't have
not
a
a good
thumb or
throw.
something. I don't know how he did
But
that.
But then it started to get better. He got more comfortable. Again, he did I think down the field and him missing receivers in the progression actually has been a little bit overblown. Like maybe he didn't get to a backside check down, or maybe he
Yeah.
ran out of the pocket maybe a minute too early, but he did show a good feel for getting up in the pocket because they were getting pressure on him. There's no doubt about that. He did. I mean, the 4th-and-1 play to Debo was a fantastic play. His first read to the flat is taken away. He stops, makes Dunlap miss. I mean, he showed that for a big guy, he's really agile and throws a nice ball to Debo. Maybe a little bit high, but why nitpick? The ball he threw to Kittle in the red zone, to me, that's as good a throw as we've seen from a 49ers quarterback in a very long time. That's a big boy NFL throw, and we don't get to see a lot of big boy NFL throws from 49ers quarterbacks. That was big time. And unfortunately, Jamal Adams made a great play and it went through Kittle's hands, but that was a great throw. So he made plays. And then the 4th-and-10 run was fantastic. He had another knucklehead play, where he's going to run for the first down and he's diving head first with nobody around him, 2 yards short of the sticks, putting them in 4th-and-2. That was weird. It was a bizarre experience nonetheless. It was raw as we expected. There were obviously moments where he didn't play the position as perfectly as even other guys in this draft class, like say a Mac Jones.
Yeah, that's an understatement. We can say what it is, dude. Dude, he's like the least polished quarterback in the league right now. That's what it is.
But I still saw enough where you can say, like,
I was
this
encouraged.
is a positive step.
I was
And
encouraged.
you know what I was most encouraged by? He started off so badly. Like, that Kittle miss was so disgusting. And he just got better. He kept adapting to the
Like,
situation.
we've
I
seen
did
Nick
not
Mullins
think it
go in
was
the
a good
tank. If
situation
Nick Mullins would have a bad start, he might get in his own head like, "Oh, no, it's gonna be one." I don't know what's going through Nick Mullins' head, but we could see it snowball. With Lance, he seemed to have the confidence like, "Okay, that was embarrassing, but we're coming back."
And I didn't think he had I didn't think that was really that good position to put him in. They put him in the second half. Obviously, they were trying to protect him first with running the ball.
Well, they had no plan.
The first drive, right? They
Yeah.
ran it 3 times
They
or
had no
4
plan.
times. I think
Yeah.
Sherman got a first down,
Yeah.
2 first downs maybe, and then Lance got stopped on 3rd and 6 when
Right.
I think it was Ryan Neal got a real good lick on him.
Oh, yeah.
In the hole. It was him and Ryan Neal whacked him. But then the next drive, they tried to make it
I want to watch the
really,
All-22 because the way I saw it from the press box is that play would have worked, but Brunskill missed the block. Is the way I saw it. Is actually they had
I
it.
went through real fast. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
But
Yeah.
he got whacked.
Yeah.
And then the next drive they opened it up and they tried play action and giving him a gimme to George Kittle. Like, let's build his confidence. He grounds that. But you know what really was lucky for them? The fact that they were
just
able to get
underhanded
that
next time, man. Just freaking underhanded
they were
next
able
time.
getting that cover 3 beater. And I don't know who busted the coverage. I'm pretty sure the way the Seattle scheme works, Adams is supposed to cover the wheel. But I follow a guy who covers the Seahawks and watches a lot of their games and watches their film. And he said the way they've played that defense all year is that Adams has not covered the wheel. But the way the Seattle scheme works usually in cover 3 is that the single cornerback side, which is what Sidney Jones was, if a receiver makes an in-breaking route, he follows the receiver. And then Adams has
And
to
so
carry
that
the
means
wheel
that
because he has to follow the
the
receiver.
curl flat defender has to carry that guy vertical.
Right.
Otherwise,
Exactly.
it's a touchdown.
Right. But they completely blew it.
Yeah.
They completely blew it, and he got it to him. I was joking. Somebody asked me, "Does
These are
Jimmy
the
make
coverage
that throw?" And I was like,
in October and September. But yeah.
If there's 80 quarterbacks in the NFL, all 80 quarterbacks in the NFL can make that decision and throw. But since Trey Lance made it, I'm going to say nobody else can make it but Trey Lance. I'm joking.
Yeah.
But more or less, that's kind of where I was with that
So
entire
encouraging
situation.
start. I remember I mentioned the Niners averaged 6.8 yards per play and 5.1 yards per carry with Trey Lance on the field as opposed to 5.9 yards per play and 4.7 yards per carry with Garoppolo. So he did have a positive impact. Also, no turnovers. Also, no game plan. Also, no prep. So there are
Yeah,
things that
and
to like.
so my takeaway was right. I've been on record. I was not a Trey Lance. I was not advocating for him to be the pick before the draft, like you and a few other people was. I was
You like
Justin
field.
Fields, then Mac
For sure.
Jones. I like Mac Jones more than Trey
True.
Lance. But
True.
the more I watched Trey Lance through the preseason and all that, and we saw a lot of
Yeah.
this stuff in the preseason, I was still like very encouraged by a
Yeah.
lot of the things I saw. I feel encouraged by the fact that he was able to adapt. He was able to get better during the game. And then just the simple fact that I don't think that putting him in a straight drop back situation when you're down 28 to 13 is going to get the best out of him. And
No.
unluckily, game situation,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
let's
game
remind
situation
people
put
real
him in
quick,
that
real quick
situation.
what the game situation was. He came in, it's tied. They go 5 and out. They go down 7 after a couple of drives that go nowhere. Uh, then the guy fumbles the kickoff, and they're down
Yeah.
14 or whatever it
Yeah.
was. He immediately
Right.
hits Deebo Samuel in the touchdown. They're back down 7, down 8 because they missed the extra point. That was dumb. And then, so they're battling. They're right back in it. And then finally they go back down 14, 15, and he brings it back and scores another touchdown. So he was battling
Right,
in that
that
game. It
that one
wasn't
was
garbage
with
time.
5 minutes left, it was 28-13, and that's really when he was really able to play the bulk of their football. That was when they were starting able to sustain drives. I mean, you can call it
Yeah.
garbage time, but it wasn't like Seattle was doing anything different on defense compared to what they have done the entire game, so I don't
Yeah.
really consider it garbage time. I guess maybe Seattle isn't competing as hard, but it looked like those pass rushers were competing, and he looked okay, and I think my bottom line is he looked so good as an athlete in terms of his agility and speed moving. Like his movement to me looked so like good enough, and his running did definitely look the part. Where I just think that if you can have an offense where it's 0-0 and you game plan the entire week to run him 12 times, 12 to 13 times, scheme him up, throws off play action. He's not going to make every one of those throws, but he's going to hit a couple. Like for every throw he misses to Kittle, he's going to make the one to Kittle in the end zone that is like, okay, you
That's
can
true.
make that throw. That's a big boy
That's true.
throw that, other quarterbacks who hit the throw to Kittle 10 times out of 10 might not be able to make. And to me, that's really the bottom line is at some point, I think Javi Vega, I saw him tweet, rip the band-aid off. And I think that's a real good way to put it. Just rip the band-aid off because, again, you're going through growing pains with Jimmy Garoppolo already. Why not go through growing pains? And the fact that he got better in this game tells you that it's just going to keep getting
Yeah.
better. There's going to be some
Yeah.
bad, but it's just going to keep getting better, and he's going to get more comfortable, and he's going to start
Right.
reacting better.
Right. Real quick,
Otherwise,
real
like
quick. Let me just say with Trey Lance, like he's not going to be a good quarterback for a while, like a long time. If you're expecting him to be like the kind of guy who can execute from the pocket at a high level and run around, that's 3 years from now. After a lot of coaching and experience and trial and error. Like that's
and
Kyler Murray now in year
and
3.
even the
Kyler, if
guys,
you
right?
watch real quick, hold on. If you watch Kyler Murray all 22 the first 2 years, he missed open reads all the time. And the reason that he was still effective and a good winning player is that even if you're not a quarterback, you're a playmaker. You're still the most athletic player in the field. You can run and throw. And once you break the pocket, you put stress on defenses. When you
And
scramble, you put stress on defenses.
right.
And he can do that right now. If you're paying the guy $30 million, you got to be a quarterback too. But you're not paying him that much money. You can be a playmaker and learn on the job.
And there's two things I wanted to mention, right? One thing first is the guys that people compare him to, guys who needed time to make that refinement, like Lamar Jackson. Look at his rookie year. Deshaun Watson, even though he had a terrific rookie year, there was still his evolution actually last year in 2020 compared to the first 3 years. It was shocking how unbelievable Deshaun Watson was from the pocket. Look at Patrick Mahomes, how good he is from the pocket now in terms of from his mind. Um, that's where I look at Trey Lance and I say he has less experience, less throws, less drop back reps than all
It's
of
going to take
those
time.
guys. So it
It's
might
going to
take a
take time.
little bit of it'll take a little
That's an
bit more
unrealistic
time.
expectation to
Right.
want that this year. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with it. And then the other thing I wanted to
Look at how
mention is
Jalen Hurts plays football right now. The Niners saw that he's not playing quarterback. He's being a playmaker, and he's a hell of a playmaker. You can win with that. It's just you don't pay a lot of money for that. And if
and
you want to
that's
give Lance a second contract, then he's going to have to show growth. But that's a 2024 issue. That's a
that's the other
2024 issue.
name I wanted to
Yeah.
bring up because obviously I Jalen Hurts is one of those guys who I
Right.
think you can win with. I think there's a lot of good things about Jalen Hurts, but I think from a quarterback standpoint, there's a lot of things that are really, really raw and missing
Yeah.
in his game.
Raw.
But you
Yeah.
and I were talking after the Philadelphia game, and it was off
Yeah.
air, and it was
Yeah.
definitely something I didn't want to say after the Niners won. But the shocking thing to me was Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is just a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Like, I think he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I thought Jalen
Yes.
Hurts, just because of his athleticism,
Right.
put more pressure on the Philadelphia defense or on
He
the Niners
did.
defense than Garoppolo did on the Philly defense all day. And
Yes.
to me, that's where I look at Trey Lance, who
Right.
I think
Like
is more
Jimmy's a better
gifted
quarterback than
in.
Trey Lance,
I
but
think
the
he's
offense moves better with Trey Lance on the field. It's the same
I think
irony.
he's more gifted than Hurts
Yeah.
across the board in
Right.
every area. And I also think he's more refined than Hurts was when he came out of college in specific areas. And he has an offense that expects more refinement that he's already capable of doing from play
Yep.
action. And
Yep.
I look at that and I still think that his movement mixed with his arm talent mixed with the fact that you can call a boot and Dunlap can be sitting on the boot and he can make you miss on 4th and 1 and throw a ball to Debo. And I look at that and I say, I still think that that puts a defense in more conflict than Jimmy Garoppolo executing 75 to 80% of the time does.
Agree. So yeah, I mean, I think this an encouraging debut. He's got a long way to go, but we always knew that it's gonna take him time to be this kind of like if he's ever gonna be Patrick Mahomes, that would take years. But as we've seen, the Niner fans, I mean, you lived through Colin Kaepernick. He was he was raw in a lot of ways too. But these playmaker quarterbacks can win a lot of games if they got the right team around them, the right coaching around them, and they're not super expensive. And so far, he's not super expensive. He's got a nice team around him when healthy. It's just Kyle's got to kind of get on board and accept it. And he's being a little stubborn right now. So Kyle, embrace it.
And another thing I wanted to say is one thing that improved throughout the game too is early when he was running around in the pocket, he was running himself into trouble
Right.
within the pocket. He wasn't managing it well at all.
Right.
Later in that game, as it got more and more along, he started making small adjustments to, ooh, I'm going to escape out of here and run
I
here.
like that.
I'm going to escape out of here and run
I
here.
like that.
And he, instead of running himself into sacks, which was something he did in the preseason and something
Yes,
he
he
did
did.
in his first 4 drives, I would say the entire
Oh
third
yeah.
quarter of this game, it got way better. And the
Yeah.
other thing is the open receivers down the field is a little bit overblown. He did miss guys. But I think he missed more guys in the check down in terms of getting to the check down in his progression than he did miss, Brandon Ayuk for a 20-yard in cut and stuff. There wasn't really as much stuff
Agree.
as I
Agree.
thought people were saying
Also,
afterwards.
there's different degrees of passing up throws. Like let's say it this way: if there's a play action shot and it's blocked up well and the guy's open and he doesn't throw it, I got a big problem with that. Like I'm gonna bench you for that if you do that. But if you're in the drop back game and the design is to throw like maybe a 10-yard out and you pass it up because the defensive end rushes too far upfield and you break out of the pocket and you throw down that's okay to me. You can pass up that quick throw from the pocket because anytime they let you out of the pocket, you have the opportunity for a big play. It's almost like when Aaron Rodgers gets someone to jump off sides. If they're going to give that to you, take that. So I started to feel him doing that, which is always going to come with experience. When do I take what the defense is giving me? And to me, if you're in the shotgun, straight drop back, and they want to just give scramble lanes to you, take them because you don't have to run. You can just get out and you can throw, and all of a sudden big plays happen. And I think he was starting to get a feel for that. Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing, because I'm with you on that. A
Yeah.
couple of the throws that there were receivers open down the field were tipped. And one of the tips, I know tip balls are typically on the quarterback, and I agree with that. One of the tips, he had Al Woods literally an inch away from where he's throwing the ball. Maybe Jimmy, because Jimmy does have a sidearm and he does have a quicker delivery. Maybe Jimmy gets that ball around Al Woods to the open receiver. I'm not so sure. I don't know, like, unless you
I
have a
thought he was
Mahomes
going to break his
or
hand on that one. He broke his finger like that
yeah,
in preseason.
unless you have like a Mahomes who or a Stafford or Uh,
Right.
you know, guys like that. I
Rodgers,
don't know who's making that throw. Yeah.
Murray. Yeah.